guys, what's going on? It's Allure coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. You clicked on the video. Welcome to the video. We're almost at 100,000 subscribers. Is he gonna mention this every single video till he gets to 100K? No, but I did mention this video and yesterday's video. Anyway, guys, welcome to the channel. How you doing? How did you do in the clan vs. clan tournament? My clan, well, at the time of this recording, it's over already, or the time this goes live, it's over already, but we lost again. Shout out to X Factor. Looks like they are a Russian clan, it looks like. Alex7777, man, he's got a lot of good members over there. Got a lot of good members. You know, all in all, clan versus clan tournaments, you guys know my opinion. Better than nothing, but leaves a lot to be desired at the same time. Now, anyway, today's video, we're gonna talk about epic champions, right? So what I did in preparation for today's Raid Shadow Legends YouTube video was I went out and I looked at 3 tier lists, right? 2 YouTuber tier lists and 1 internet tier list. I Googled Raid Shadow Legends tier list and it came up. And then I took their top 20 epic champions. I averaged the number, you know, where they fall. And then I looked for outliers, champions that fell outside the top 20 of all 3 lists combined. And then I shared them with you guys as my most underrated epic champions inside the game. If you like content like this and you want to see the rares and legendaries ranked in a similar fashion, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to do that. Now, just a quick disclaimer, guys, because this is important here. You'll notice on the channel here, I very, very rarely, if ever, rank champions like 1, 2, 3, 4. Even when we do a video like yesterday when we talk about all the legendaries, the best and the worst added in 2021. I really love that video, by the way. If you like, I mean, you'll notice in that video, excuse me, if you like what?
There are so many questions spinning around in my head.
You'll notice in that video that I didn't rank the champions, right? Because it depends on what you need. It depends on when you need it. You might need a nuker. You might need a support champion. You might need a buffer. You might need crowd control. You might need a debuffer. And it depends on how you have them geared, the team that you have around them, and where you are in the game. So it's really a fool's errand to just rank these champions flat out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, you can get a good indicator, which is why I personally like looking at tier lists, right? So this is not a shot at anybody else, any other tier list creator out there. We all have our own opinions, and of course, we all value some things higher than others, right? Are you ranking for the mid game, ranking for the end game, early game, etc.? Ranking for Fire Knight, you're ranking for Doom Tower. So in my rankings, I just rank champions that if I had to kind of draft champions, right? So if I had to draft champions, I'm starting a brand new account, which order would I choose them in? And of course, under that argument, you can make a case that it depends on the previous champions you chose, right? So I guess I'm saying all of this to say that it doesn't really matter. We're here to have fun, and I'm here to shed a little bit of a spotlight on champions that I personally love. Now, one honorable mention, guys, in High Elves, Vergus. So Vergus is not a top 20 champion, even in my opinion. However, he was 73rd, the 73rd epic between the 3 lists that I looked at. And me, I don't know, he's probably in the 20s, maybe in the 30s. So he was a huge outlier. So I wanted to give him an honorable mention to start this video out. I actually really like Vergus. He has a reflect damage on his A1. On his A2, he has continuous heal, increased speed, and reflect damage on a target ally for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, with an ally protect on all allies, increased defense on himself. And then this passive, man, this dude is so tough to kill, right? Because this, when you book it, is on a 1-turn cooldown. It happens every turn. Passive. Places a shield buff on this champion equal to 10% of their max HP for 2 turns whenever this champion loses 10% or more of their HP from a single hit. He's throwing shields on himself all the time, right? His active is, plays a continuous heal buff on this champion for 2 turns every time his HP drops below 50%. Come on, man. This guy's really good, and he has defense in dungeons by 33%. I mean, if you're looking for progression, you can't get that much better than Vergus, you know, at least in terms of a defensive or a lead for dungeons, right? So I don't have him in there, but I wanted to give a big honorable mention because I do really like that champion. Now let's go ahead and start out with Rector Drath. Rector Drath is a champion that I did a guide on. I was pretty high on him, aka her. I thought she was a dude in the champion guide, so apologies to Mrs. Drath, Miss Drath, apologies there.
That was not funny!
But she is ranked, let's see, 31st on the 3 tier list combined. But I have her inside my top 20, not my top 10, but my top 20. I think she's one of the best healers in the game, if not the best healer. And I want to draw your attention to her base stats right now, guys. Check that out. 109 speed, she's very, very fast. She hovers, so she ought to be. She has good HP, decent defense, decent attack. I mean, whatever. You're not looking for damage out of this champion, but she has a decreased attack on her A1. Again, you love to see that. It's not too bad either, a 50% chance when booked, right? The downside is she does take, her books are not even that bad, right? I mean, not that bad considering how some of these champions are nowadays. Back in my day, we barely had to use books at all. Her A2, right? This is on a 4-turn cooldown. Heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. After healing, plays a perfect veil buff for 2 turns on allies with full HP. Plays a continuous heal buff instead on allies with less than 100% HP. This is a beast heal ability, guys. A beast. On the A3, Revival. So she has a 4-turn Reviver on her as well, with a perfect Veil for 3 turns, okay? 60% HP, 60% turn meter fill. This is actually a really, really good single target Revival, right? We're looking for 4-turn cooldowns on our Revivals nowadays, especially with more and more Revivers being added to the game. It gets more competitive, power creep in the game, and she has that, all of that and more on her Revival. But this passive, dude, whenever an ally under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff gets a turn, heals them by 10% of their max HP. Also increases the resistance of allies under those buffs by 50. So she's got the heals on heals on heals. She can put out, man, if you have her and you use her, then you know. Back me up in the comments. She's really Rector Droth, Skytouch Shaman, Vrask. Am I forgetting somebody? In terms of the best healers in the game, they're all epic, and I don't mean them to be. I just don't think there's a legendary healer who's as good as these 3 champions. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but man, and just in terms of total healage, the total heals that these champions can put out in a given match, in a given round, it's really incredible. I thought she was above average, but she's really next level good, right? I use her in Doom Tower on my account, on a pay-to-win account. I use her in Doom Tower when I need that extra support because between all the Veils and all those heals, she's a really, really good champion who I'm a huge fan of. Can you tell? Can you tell? All right, the next one, I'm going to give the 2 obvious ones or the 2 ones that were really close. Actually, there was 3 who was really close to the top 20. The next one is, I was surprised that Mausoleum Mage was actually 23rd. So 23rd overall when you combine the 3 rankings. He was in somebody's top 20. I forgot who, but only one of the 3 lists top 20. Unbelievable. Mausoleum Mage, even though he is to some extent a victim of power creep inside the game, man, I still think he's one of the best epics inside the game. I stand by that, right? He has a decreased speed on his A1. I love decreased speed, and 50% isn't bad. On his A2, Might of Undeath. This is a 3-turn cooldown. 3-turn cooldown, we get increased crit rate, increased defense, and block debuffs on all allies for 1 turn. Defense and crit rate for 2 turns. This is an insanely good ability, guys. Even increased crit rate, which is the least sexy of the 3 buffs that he's bringing to the table, even increased crit rate is beneficial. So many people, myself included, have a very bad habit of building their champions to 85, 95, 99, even 100%, you know, because there's still a chance of a weak hit off that, right? Or there's still a chance that it might not land critical. So having that increased crit rate, sometimes that's a big difference that we don't really recognize or give. I'm not trying to sit here telling you that increased crit rate is the best buff. I'm just saying that even that can be underrated at times in his kit. 3 buffs, a great synergy with Seer. As you guys know, Seer is in the top 20, so I can't put her on my list, but she's my top 5. She's in the top 5 for me personally. But anyway, Winds of Purging is a great ability as well. This is on a 4-turn cooldown, removes all debuffs from all allies, and heals them by 10% of the champion's HP. You can get more heal on top of that as well. But this is a great ability. It's a full cleanse with a heal on top of it, right? So he's doing a lot. He's an incredible support champion. He's pretty fast too, with a 104 speed. Let me give you the other like higher ranking out of these champions that we're going to talk about here. And I was shocked, absolutely shocked to find that Allure did not make the top 20. She was the closest though, 21 average, but she was really short on a couple lists. She was close to top 10 on another list, but me, she's a top 10 champion for me, guys. Now this comes down to your personal opinion, of course, right? I'm not trying to say anybody else is wrong and I'm right. I'm just saying that I think Allure is one of the most useful, granted maybe in niche situations, but you can use her on Doom Tower bosses, and she's the best champion next to Coulthart and Allure on a pedestal all by themselves for Fire Knight, right? She can just single-handedly dominate Fire Knight in even stages 21 through 25, right? Allure is just an absolutely incredible champion. Even with the AI changes, forget about it. We can get rid of the A3 if we don't want to use it. Doesn't deal a ton of damage. We can get rid of even the A2. We can make her a one-woman turn... One-woman? Woman? ING? One-woman wrecking crew with turn meter, right? Turn meter on the A1, and this is an ability that is unique. No other, forget legendaries, forget epics, no champion in the game has an ability, has an A1 like this. Each hit decreases the target's turn meter by 25%, 3 times. This is the ultimate control ability. That's a 75%, for those of you, who aren't experts in math like me, 75% turn meter on an A1. That's really, really good. She's incredibly unique, incredibly powerful. I'm just a big, big fan of Allure. I'm surprised she's not in the top 20 overall. What do you guys think? All right, let's go with it with somebody who's a little bit outside the box. By the way, I'm a big fan of, I'm a big fan of this guy. Akoth the Seared. Maybe I'll do a guide on him tomorrow for you guys, but he was inside the top 20 as well. Just barely, but he was inside there. All right, next up, let's go ahead and give some love to the 43rd champion. He was ranked 43rd, but he's brand new. He's Siege Hulk. So 43, I was pretty surprised by that, right? Because I think this dude is a top 20 champion, man. He's probably my... Now there's another pick who's a little bit like more outside the box than him, but he's very, very close. Siege Hulk, first of all, he's pretty cool. You guys tell me this is not an Expo, Ash. Come on, bro. It's a Ballista. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that clarification in the comments. He's a really good champion. He's just added to the game, guys. So I find that champions, when they're just added to the game, they're either overrated or underrated. You can make the case that maybe I'm overrating him, but let me make my case first. Decrease target's turn meter by 15% if they're under decreased defense and decreased speed. Good news is, he has both of those debuffs in his kit. So on his A2, this is on a 3-turn cooldown, has an increased attack on himself, and then attacks all enemies. Has a 100% chance of placing a decreased defense. So he's a magic blue. He's a magic affinity decreased defense champion on 3-turn cooldown. Great. Great start to his kit, right? And then he has Siege Breaker. Has an increased crit rate and increased crit damage on this champion for 2 turns. This is also on a 3-turn cooldown. Then attacks one enemy, has a 100% chance of placing a decreased speed also on the enemy for 2 turns. Now, there's more. This ability has a 5.7 multiplier. Not too bad. He can dish out some damage. That multiplier is on point, and his base attack is also on point. The downside is 760 defense. He's pretty squishy. But if you have the team around him to keep him alive and support him, he's an incredible debuffer. Similar to Stag Knight, he has an AoE decreased defense, and he has a decreased speed, so A1, A2. He doesn't have the decreased attack like Stag Knight, and he's a lot slower than Stag Knight. However, he deals a ton more damage as opposed to a Stag Knight. So I'm just kind of comparing him to the best decreased defense champion, 3-turn in epic category, in my opinion. Or I guess Ugo would be there too. I don't think he's as good as Ugo, but I do think he's a really, really good champion if you're looking for, again, some damage. He is truly a debuffer and also a flat-out DPS champion. And there's not that many of those champions out there in the game. Usually, debuffers just don't put out that much damage, and this guy is truly a nuker with that debuff. But again, he's squishy. So I'm a big fan of this guy. I think he's a really cool champion. He has crit rate in Doom Tower battles, kind of whatever there on his aura. So what do you guys think? Am I too high on Siege Hulk? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. All right, let's go on to a barbarian. Another guy I was pretty shocked, and he's not a barbarian either. He is a barbarian. Why didn't I see him there? I was pretty shocked that he wasn't on the list. There he is. My bad, fat man. Fucker in the fat. I feel like I'm gonna get demonetized every time I say his first name. Fucker in the fat here is fast. He was ranked 24th, so close, but I put him inside my top 20 for sure. He has a decreased defense on his A1. On his A2, he's HP burn and poison. HP burn and poison. Love to see that against bosses, clan boss namely as well. And then you guys, I mean, if you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you know this, man. I am a huge fan of ally attack. I love ally attack champions. I feel like they're super meta right now. I know it's obvious here that Plarium is going away from, they've said they're never going to add another counterattack champion to the game, and instead they're adding more ally attack champions, which I think is cool because I think that ally attack is better, not better, but it's a more interesting alternative to counterattack, ally attack. Anyway, increased crit rate and increased crit damage buff on all allies except this champion for 3 turns, and then all allies attack that except this champion will attack that target enemy on a 4-turn cooldown. Not too bad. He's also kind of mitigating or deflecting 20% of his incoming damage to all your other allies. That's spread evenly. That's nice to help keep him alive. So that's Baccarin the Fat. Him, Lady Atessa, Catacomb Counselor. What other ally attacks? And he's way better than Catacomb and Lady Atessa in terms of ally attack epic options. There's not that many. I might be forgetting one, but there's not that many, and he's clearly the best. He's the best of the ally attackers. Next up is going to be... Wow, we only have a couple left here, huh, guys? Let's go to... You guys know how much I love this dude. He gets the reward for the most surprising epic, because I was so on the fence with investing in fenax, right? When I built him to do a guide on him on the channel here, I was thinking to myself, man, he might not really be worth it. Am I throwing away my resources right now? Because this kit does not wow me, right? On his A1, he has a block revival, right? So a denial of revive. Okay, on his A1, what? Oh yeah, by the way, he has the second hardest hitting A1 in the game, next to Candrafon. Not too bad. That's why he has a block revive on his A1. On his A2, he has an AoE attack on a 4-turn cooldown. He has block buffs for 2 turns. He has block active skills for 1 turn if you don't place the block buffs. Very good ability. Block buffs is an insanely good ability. I wish this was on a 3-turn cooldown, but if it was, he'd be just insanely OP. And then what I love about this guy is he has decreased defense and decreased speed on his A3. So what I do is I put him on ally attack teams. I run him against several of the Doom Tower bosses on ally attack teams, and he also runs as my DPS and my debuffer, right? Because decreased defense and decreased speed are 2 of the most important debuffs. Generally speaking, the Doom Tower waves leading up to the bosses are fairly easy, you know, so we don't need decreased defense and weaken on all of those targets. It might take us a little bit longer, but who cares, right? And then once we get to the boss, fenax, he shines because he has the really hard-hitting A1 with an ally attack or counterattack, right? And then he can go in with the A3 and place the decreased defense and the decreased speed. In the A2, it's not incredibly hard-hitting, nothing like his A1 and his A3. Obviously, they're single target, but his A2 is still hard-hitting enough where he can help you out during those dungeon waves. So obviously, there's extra utility on put down in, you know, Ice Golem and various other areas of the game as well. I'm a big fan of fenax. He's 29th overall on the rankings, and he is inside, not my top 10, but from the 11 to 20 area inside my personal rankings. So we have what? 1, 2 champions left here, guys. Let's go to them. All right, so 1, this might surprise some of you guys. I don't know. Am I too high on this dude? It is a daily login reward champion, Grush the Mangler. So Grush, defensive base champion, fairly easy to keep alive, has defense and faction crypts, good for faction crypts, good for faction wars. On his A1, he has a leech, okay? This is 75% leech for 2 turns before attacking, so he can heal himself as well off that leech, which comes in handy. A 75% leech on an A1 for 2 turns is really, really good, really, really incredible. It provides a lot of healage throughout the duration of, especially longer battles, especially against bosses for your team, right? On the A2, an AoE attack has a chance of placing decreased attack or decreased crit damage. Man, I wish it was just decreased attack, but it's an AoE attack based on defense. He has another AoE attack based on defense, so he's putting out a decent amount of damage. You want to build him with 100% crit rate as well. Has continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns. That's the big version. And then places an additional continuous heal buff on all allies for 1 turn if at least one enemy, which it always happens, is hit with a critical hit. We just told you we're building with 100% crit rate anyway. So great healage, right? He's not on the same level as Rector Drop, as Sky Touch, as Vrask, as we mentioned earlier, but he can put out, he's like right next level, right? He can put out a lot of healage. We're talking over 500,000 heal, obviously depending on the team. That's a lot. He can really carry that support role for your team. He's hard to kill as well. And between the leech, all his continuous heals, and the debuffs, he can do a lot. And not a decent amount of damage. Not a nuker on your team, but he can help. He can help with his fair share of damage, especially against AoE, against the waves, right? Leading up into a boss. So, Grush the Mangler. I really like this dude. The last guy is going to be the lowest ranked overall. Grush, by the way, was 25th. So again, we're getting close here, you know, when we aggregate those numbers. You can make a case that that's a proper ranking for him as well. But this champion was 68th. 68th. And I really like him. I wish I had him. Burungiri. I hope I'm saying that right. Burungiri. He looks really cool. First of all, he's a brand new champion. So again, I feel like people have not caught on to how good this dude is yet. Just my opinion. Notice his base stats here is kind of slow. He has a lot of defense. On his A1, he has a provoke. His damage is based on defense. That provoke, not too bad for an A1 at 30%, actually, excuse me, 40% when booked, right? On his A2, an AoE attack, and this dude has a 60% chance when booked of placing a stun on a 3-turn cooldown. That is very, very good. Really good, right? So a 3-turn stun at a 60% clip is really solid. On his A3, we have strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also placed a shield buff for 2 turns on allies with less than 50% HP. The shield buff is equal to 15% of this target's max HP. This is on a 4-turn cooldown, guys. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I've probably said it a few times this week, in fact. Strengthen is an incredibly good buff. It's an incredibly good buff. Look for a champion with strengthen, especially if you're in progression in this game. Mitigating straight out, flat out, 25% of damage incoming to all the champions on your team is really, really powerful. In many cases, in most cases, it's more effective than increased defense. Ideally, you'd like to have both, but strengthen is a very, very good buff to have on your team, right? And we have the extra shield on anybody who needs it, right? Passive. Heals this champion by 50% of his max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies. Dude, we talk about Grush and Vergis being hard to kill. This guy's really difficult to kill. All you have to do is kill an enemy and boom, 50% of his max HP immediately. And you know, he's not gonna have 0 HP, so we're gonna be getting him over 50% HP whenever anybody dies. On your team, hopefully not, but on the enemy team as well. He also has a resist in all battles by 40. Okay, so listen. Here we are. When I was preparing for this video, I thought I'd be really cute and try to add him. I don't know. I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be real with you guys. Probably not top 20, but not 68th, right? I think that he is in the 20 to 30 range, probably. What do you guys think? Probably in that honorable mention along with Vergis. Let me know what you guys think, but I think he's an incredible champion. You can make the case that he's not top 20, and I would probably... I don't know. You could probably talk me into it, guys. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. Let me know what champion falls outside, you know, the top 20, the typical champions that everybody mentions when they talk about the best epics in the game. Let me know who your biggest snub is. Who is your biggest or most underrated epic champion in the game? Can't wait to read those, you know, those answers in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.